What a
Yes.
start.
Hello.
It is time for the comic book crowd. Yes, comic book crowd. Last Friday of the month. And here we are with today's crowd. We have immediately to my left, Matt Woods Comics with Matt Woods, believe it or not. How you doing tonight, Matt?
You know, Joe, we're doing wonderful. You know, I'm kind of upset that I have to be on this show, okay? Because the guy to my right, I guess it's going to be the screen's left. I don't know how you put it. But anyhow, that guy's sick. And I think I caught it from him through the internet. So, yeah, I don't know about all this, Joe.
It was that Instagram bug that was going around. That's it. You know?
But if I start coughing here, I'll hit mute and, you know, we'll just go on with it. But
and I'm the same way. I'm the same
We
way.
have some incredible people here today,
Why
Joe.
don't you introduce them, Matt?
Well, excellent. I will. All right, to my left, okay? Whoa, we're on the other way. Okay, but to the screen's right is the great Chuck Hensey. Okay, tell us about yourself, Chuck.
Hey, guys, I'm glad to see everyone. Happy holidays to you.
And Chuck is not sick.
No, I'm not sick. Not yet, but it's still early.
Not yet.
Hey, that Instagram bug just might be spreading, so watch out.
Exactly.
Speaking of bug, hey, Dave Bratton, how are you doing? Now,
doing all right.
I'm not calling Dave a bug, but Dave had some serious technical issues that, my gosh, he just solved them on the fly. It was quite amazing watching Dave work.
Mm-hmm.
I restarted the computer.
Mind blowing.
I'm doing well, especially because I get to spend some time talking comics with all you guys.
Excellent. And down here, off to whatever bottom side that is, one of the mainstays on the channel, Big Al. Tell us about yourself, Al. What's going on?
From day one. Yeah, glad to be here. This is a great way to end off this year to hang out with you guys. So
that's right.
It's going to be a fun show.
End of the year. Oh, my God. Oh, my God.
How many shows have we done, Joe?
This is the 26th show.
Holy
26.
smokes.
Wow.
The only Friday we missed when I was in the hurricane 2 years ago. I couldn't get back to New York. I was stuck in Florida in the hurricane.
Oh, yeah, in the car. Yes.
Yeah, the car flooded and all of that. So why don't we say hello to everybody in the chat? Then we'll get going because we have treasuries to talk about. Hey, treasure, man. That's treasure. I mean, I already had an argument with Dave about treasuries. Yeah.
Show hasn't started.
And the show didn't start. We already were at odds.
Warming up.
Okay, let's see who's here. Tina, thank you for coming. You can't wait to see this. It's here right now. Okay, we have Paul, Psychedelic Comics. Thank you, Paul, for showing up. And of course, we have Las Cruces from New Mexico. All right, X11 Bravo, sir. Good to see you. Good to see you here tonight. Let's see who else. We have Weldborg. Everybody's great. Everybody's doing well. Hopefully, you're doing well up there in Canada as well. All right, let's see who else. Oh, we have Trev, the shipping guru. Trev, one of my faves, is out there. Trev. I love watching Trev's shows. You know what? He's got that kind of calming influence on me. I'm always like agitated, and I put Trev's show on. It's like, how you doing, guys? I'm like, yeah, I'm easing out. There it is. Trev, the shipping guru. Thank you, Trev. Who else do we have here? We had a few other people I saw. Yeah, we have Seth. We have Seth Lorley, Spine Ticks. Yes. How you doing? Good to see you here.
Hello.
Yes. Who else? So we have the. I always forget now, Matt. Is it the better looking or the? We got one.
No. The better looking Bratton is on the show right now.
Oh, okay, this is a less better.
Doug.
But perhaps the nicer Bratton. I don't get into arguments with him, so
that's fair.
But you don't have him on the air either.
Who else do we have here? I thought it's DJ Links. Yes, sir. DJ Links, Link Squad. How you doing? Good to be. Thanks for being here. There goes my voice. It's already going. Who else do we have? Hope nobody catches this. Seth 11. Yes.
Well, there we go.
Yes. Good to see you tonight, my friend. Okay. Who else? There's anybody else that we missed? I think that might be. I think we have everybody. All right. Great. And if you see somebody else, we'll bring them up. All right. You got a comment, so I know you're here. If you don't comment, I can't say hello to you. But I'll say hello to you anyway. Hi, everybody, even if you're not commenting. Hi. All right. So we were discussing treasuries. Now, from my standpoint, treasuries are those books that came out in the 1970s, right? So DC started it all. Some guy at DC, I forgot who it is, had this great idea. Why don't we make this big treasury book, and we could sell a lot of them because it's oversized.
DC starts everything, right?
DC started in 1970, yeah, but they never get anything right after that. Marvel always co-ops it and makes it better, right? So we have 1972. DC starts it off. 1974, Marvel then gets into the game, right? They had a few collaborations too. Maybe we'll show a few of them tonight. Now, what I wanted to tell the group here is, or ask the group here is, when did you first discover treasuries? All right. And was it because you saw it at the store and you bought one? Somebody showed it to you? And do you remember which one it was? So why don't we start with my nemesis? I mean, with my friend Dave Bratton.
All right. Thanks, Joe. I will say this. I was so young, I don't have a strong, vivid memory of when they first came on my radar. The first one that I think I remember, but I could be wrong, was actually this one. And this is the comic book adaptation of Buck Rogers. When Star Wars hit in 77, everybody, had to follow suit. I believe, what was it? The Glenn A. Larson company was producing this as a TV show, and they're like, let's release it as a movie and make a lot of money.
Right.
I don't know if it did, but then it was a TV show that lasted about 2 seasons. Now, this is not my actual one. That is Lost to Time. Yeah. I read that thing like crazy. And I assume my parents bought it for me because of how much Doug and I liked the movie, and because it would keep us quiet when we were on long drives, because my parents, every summer or for the holidays, we drive to see my grandparents several states away. One thing I remember about this, I was so young when I would read about it, or when I was reading it, Colonel Wilma Deering, played by Aaron Gray. When I was reading it, I thought, what's colonel? I was that young, and just phonetically sounding out the word. So I think that's the first one I recall. I think one of the cool things about this is that there were things in here that they cut out in the movie, and when you watch the movie, you realize parts of it doesn't really make sense, and this kind of fills in the gaps. So that's kind of cool. So that was sort of the first one I remember. There are others I can hold on to them that I got pretty early, but if we're going to move on to someone else so they can talk about the first, that's cool.
Sid is correct. Erin Gray, a great actress, one of the best.
Oh, wait, could
I
she
was
act?
in love with her and Linda Carter. Maybe I still.
I can't go wrong with either or, Dave.
Because it's off topic, I won't tell you who I saw today that my wife and my daughter were watching, a show from the 1960s. And I said, I was in love with her. Anyway, Alan, how about you? Yeah, Alan's the youngster here, so let's see what he comes up with.
Well, I think the first time I saw a Treasury-sized comic was actually at my LCS in the Bay Area. It's called Cape and Cowl Comics. It was on the wall, right? So I could definitely see that it was bigger compared to the other books out there. And the first one I remember seeing was Superman versus Muhammad Ali. I think that was one of the super classic.
I have a sad story about that. I'll tell you later.
No. But I was wondering why Superman was fighting Muhammad Ali. So definitely had to take that off the shelf. And that was my first one. It started my path down to collecting some more Treasury books. So it was an LCS visit, which kind of opened me up to Treasury comics.
Okay. You didn't buy it though, right?
I did buy that one. Yes. Luckily, it wasn't so crazy yet.
Okay.
And what's this?
That's a pretty penny.
No, it wasn't Terry Garr. Close though. Terry Garr was up there. Good guess there, Chuck. All right. Chuck, you're up. What's the first one? What's your first experience? Your first time you saw one of these? What'd you think about it?
So my folks, my dad was really into comic strips growing up.
Oh.
And one of the movies we liked to watch as a family was Wizard of Oz every time it came on TV. And by then I had started getting into comic books. And so when the giant Marvel DC crossover came out, they got that for me to read because I was young enough that I was still working on my reading skills, but I could read that because I knew the movie.
Do you have it?
No, it died. What I remember about it though, and I thought I had bought another copy of it, but apparently either I haven't or I don't know where it is.
Yeah.
But the neat thing about it is at the back they had the biographies for the actors, and some of the actors were still alive. And so I remember going in as a kid when I would hear notifications that that Burt Layer or whoever it was had died. That I went in there and I actually wrote in the end dates for them on their obituaries. Which meant I was a morbid history kid. The other treasure I remember getting, my parents got me a Hulk Treasury collection. And I'm not a huge Hulk fan, but I absolutely love that book. And going through my collection of books recently, I noticed that every one of the books that were printed in that Treasury collection, I've gone back and picked up since. And that's why I love Havoc, because they had the Havoc issue in there. And Havoc was actually written halfway decently. I think one of only 5 times he's ever been written decently. And so that's when I fell in love with Havoc and Polaris was in that particular issue.
Okay.
So,
cool.
Really
Very cool.
Yeah, nice.
but it died too.
It died too. Yeah. And Matt, what about your first experience? This is like, well, I was going to say something that was off color, but I won't do that. What was your first experience, Matt?
Somehow I think I was the object of the joke here for a second, but Joe was afraid to go with it. But I'll tell you what, I'm going to give you guys way too much information, but it makes it kind of cool because we all have very similar experiences. In 1980, I was living in Hastings, Pennsylvania, a little small town, about 1,500, 2,000 people, okay? Old coal mining town. In fact, the town was built in 1896 because there was a big coal mine there. And I mean, they built the whole town. But anyhow, there was this supermarket, a small grocery store. I wouldn't call it a supermarket. I'd say a large, like mom and pop grocery store. But anyhow, in the news rack, they had 2 of my favorite characters on there. They always had comic books in this news rack. And it was an impulse buy item. But anyhow, it had the Incredible Hulk and what the heck? Did I just go away? Uh-oh. No, can you guys see me? Okay.
Yes.
Here we go. I had the Incredible Hulk and Spider-Man right on there, and it was Marvel Treasury Edition number 27. Now, I ended up getting that. I couldn't read it at all. My grandmother was there, and my cousin Greta, she read that book to me because, well, I don't think I was old enough to read yet. But anyhow, man, I flipped through the pages. I ended up destroying the book just because I read so much of it. But that was my very first experience. It was in the grocery store in the impulse buy section on the news rack. Ended up picking up this big giant book that, honest to Pete, I think the thing was half the size that I was. Like, I had a hard time holding this stupid thing because it was amazingly big. But that's mine. I don't know. I probably shared too much, but I think a lot of people have very similar stories of finding a comic book that way.
Well, my story, first of all, my sad story was that I did have that Muhammad Ali Superman one at one time. Either that or I imagined I had it. And I swear, when I did I did a video on the Superman Spider-Man, the first one, and I was going to take out the Muhammad Ali one, and it wasn't there. Like, wait, what? And I looked everywhere, and I said, I'm pretty sure I had that one, but I didn't have it. So I think if I did have it, it was also one of the lost causes. But my first experience was not that I had bought one, but right now I'm having a series on my channel, which is I'm calling it The Last Batch. The year that I stopped collecting comics when I graduated college, started a job was 1972. We've had a few of them being have come out. There's 3 more coming out. Anyway, in 1973, I believe, if you remember, but my best friend John, who sold me a bunch of his comics for 2 cents, I have to always put that in because Matt Woods doesn't like it if I don't. He was still sneaking comics, right? Because his mother didn't want him to have comics through high school and that, but he would still read them. And I had basically, with some exceptions, had stopped reading them. So what happens? He shows up at my house, right? We both live down in Manhattan. He shows up with this one.
Shazam.
Nice.
Which was the second one that came out. It was C21. C20 was Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, the very first one. This was the first one that came out. So every single one that I have, except for 2 that I bought, 3 that I bought subsequently when I got back into collecting, he bought, read, and gave it to me. So most of the ones I have here were thanks to John, with the exception of 3 that I bought myself over the last 3 or 4 years, whatever that. So that's my first experience with respect to respect that. Now, let me ask you guys one more question before we get to showing a few of these. With respect to the showcasing of artists and so forth, you know, with respect to this, we do now have. I mean, Marvel came out with their black and white, you know, magazine size things. DC had a few of them as well, not the same, but they were black and white. But what do you think about the size and basically the nature of it, which had some new stories, but mostly were reprint stories in many respects? So what do you think about that as a method back in the 70s, but even now as a method to be able to really showcase the artwork of some of these great artists? What do you think about that? I'll just open it up to anybody who wants to comment.
Oh, Joe, you're coming right into my wheelhouse, man. My all-time absolute favorite read in comic book history was in the Marvel magazines. Okay, Savage Sword of Conan was such an epic storyline that it lasted 235 issues from 1974 to 1993. Amazing stuff. But like, Joe, those weren't reprints. Those are original stories. Like, right. You said they're mostly reprints. And I would beg to differ. I think, especially in Marvel.
What I meant was that the treasuries are mostly reprints.
Yeah.
What's that?
Yeah. I meant that the treasuries were mostly reprints.
Yeah.
Marvel, you said that the magazines were. I was like,
no, the magazines were in black and white. You know, so I'm thinking though, in some respects, that you have some of these great artists even today, and you got a comic book, and the covers are great, but when you get to the inside, there are some. I mean, somebody like Jack Kirby, who did splash pages, were fantastic. I showed a copy of Jack Kirby, the Jack Kirby Collector from Tomorrow's publishing, and I got it basically because of the nature of the cover was in there. But when you go through it, I mean, they have things that I've seen before in Fantastic Four and the Avengers and some of those, but it's blown up, and that's a large size, magazine, even larger, I think, than these Treasury editions are. And it's just so fantastic to see it that way. It's almost poster size. And I'm just thinking that they should have something like that, more routinely. I don't know.
They sort of do now with the artist editions where they publish them at that larger size. Right. These are not quite that size. They're close. Right. So I think it's really cool. I mean, some of these artists are amazing. So to see their work closer to what they were actually putting on the paper is awesome. And I think from a marketing standpoint, I mean, what were comics back then when these were out? Like 20 cents, 25 cents? Yeah. Well, we'll just not pay anybody to redo anything. We'll just reprint it on larger paper. Paper was cheap. And instead of 20 cents, we're going to charge $1. So it probably was a lucrative way for them, to sell similar stuff. This is obviously pre-internet, before you're reading comics again. If you missed it, you missed it. This is a way to get out some really like golden age stories in some cases, some old stories to readers who didn't have that opportunity. So I think. So
Dave, if you got to pick one story, that from way back that you would want to see now in a Treasury edition, let's say in full color, which one would it be?
Oh boy, you're gonna have to give me some time to think about that. I don't know. I mean, one of the things we discussed earlier was if they were going to actually treasuries that deserve to be reprinted themselves. And I think there are a lot of good candidates from some of these treasuries, and they have done that. Didn't they reprint Superman versus Spider-Man at one point? I might be
I think
wrong.
they came up in hardcover editions and so forth. Yeah.
I know they did the versions of Superman versus Muhammad Ali. I bought the smaller hardcovers. But just one story, I'm gonna have to think about that. That it's probably going to be based on personal favorites. I mean, Detective Comics 526 is one of the great Batman stories of all time, in my opinion. It's from the maybe 83, 84 is the last issue. Jerry Conway wrote. Don Newton did the artwork. It's Batman versus his entire Rogues Gallery. Don Newton's artwork is amazing. I'd love to see that in a huge oversize. I mean,
that would be cool.
Yeah, I'll stop there. But I think it was brilliant for them to do that.
Okay. All right.
Now, I don't have an individual issue, Joe, that I would love to see in a treasury, but some of the early 50s pre-code horror books, I think that those would be a lot of fun to see all blown up.
Well, they did do a treasury of a lot of the early Ghost issues, which unfortunately I don't have. That's one I would love to have. But, I think these treasury books, because they stood out so much on the racks, and, Matt talking about this being an impulse purchase, and Alan, the same thing. And I'm sure for my parents, they were like, this is a great thing to hand a 6-year-old, and keep him occupied for hours on end. And all of us have kids know if you can keep a 6-year-old occupied for more than 10 minutes, you've achieved a life goal. Right there, you've hit a home run. And especially if you can connect it with a Superman or a Hulk or somebody like that, then they're just going to even be more invested. And for Marvel and DC's purpose, this is great advertising for whatever current books you're running. I mean, yeah, they failed to make me a Hulk fan, but you know what? I'm still a big Marvel addict.
All right. So, I mean, for me, I kind of go back to, I forget now the number. Was it Justice League 22 or 23 where the Justice Society first came in?
Yeah.
Not the interiors by Sikowski was that great, but, that cover and just the effect that it had on me, I would love to see a Treasury edition or something that size come out with, it was a 2-parter with both parts in there. I just think it would be great to have that for myself. Again, that's my own personal thing. A lot of other stuff, anything from Jack Kirby, where he had splash panels galore in there. I just love to see. He was like in my view, he was, I don't know, they call him King Kirby. He was a king of the splash panels, where they went across 2 pages, even like centerfold type of things. Or a whole page stuff. He had the one, and I was not a big Thor fan, but I have some Thor issues back then, and he had some really great splash panels in Thor, because he was able to do kind of this imagining with the gods and all this. So that would be good, really good as well. Some of the Fantastic Four stuff that he had too. So for me, there's a lot of choices where I wouldn't mind seeing some come back.
Imagine a George Perez treasury.
Wow.
Almost pick any issue.
That would be crazy.
All the detail in his artwork. I mean,
Well, you think about Kurt Swan, some of his last work on Superman with Whatever Happened to the Man of Tomorrow.
Well, that's the one.
You get that 2-parter right there in Treasury size.
The first issue. So absolutely.
Yeah. I was just going to mention that as kind of one of my 2 favorite Superman stories. 2-parter again. I mean, that would just make it so good.
Agreed.
There you go.
Yeah, one of the things that I noticed is with some of the early reprints, like in the treasuries, you could just actually see big borders at the edges. Yeah. So I don't know like how much they could zoom in, but like what you mentioned, Joe, when you mentioned Kirby, the first thing that came to mind, this may not be the best story, but I remember distinctly like reading some Eternals books by Jack Kirby, and some of those double page splash pages were like of the, like when they were entering caves and like, art in the caves that they were exploring. That like, I'd really like to see some of that reprinted in this treasury size.
Right. Even some of the Kirby DC stuff, which is going to be coming up in my 1972 retrospective. some of those, because it was, it was Kirby goodness, and some of that stuff that he did with his drawings, and I mean, really, really like amazing drawings, and kind of like surreal in some respects. So
Yeah.
they would be really good also in a Treasury edition.
The demon would just be amazing.
Oh, sorry.
No, that's all right. I was going to say the demon run by him, those first couple of issues that he did for DC would just be fantastic.
I think he did the first 17. Yeah. And they forced him to stop. We're getting off topic, but they forced him to stop his other New Gods issues because they wanted him to continue to do the demon, which was selling a lot, and the others weren't. But anyway, why don't we get to show some of the ones that we're interested in, that we brought with us. So I don't know, Chuck, you want to go first?
All right. So I mentioned the Wizard of Oz. They did a follow-up to the Wizard of Oz, which is nowhere near as terrifying as the attempt of the Return to Oz movie. But the Land of Oz here, that was done by Marvel Treasury.
Nice.
Where they still used the designs from the movie as opposed to the original Frank Baum designs.
Yes.
And this is a really, really cool read. It's a lot of fun. So
that's a great.
And again, the artwork's just
one I wish
fantastic.
Yeah.
So I think this is Buscema artwork, I believe.
Oh wow.
So
he did a bunch of
yeah, I think he did the other Wizard of Oz one too. So yeah, exactly. Our good friend Merv. No, it's not Merv, but may as well be. Now I've got a couple of the DC ones here, and I'm just going to show one or two of them. As a kid, I would have been a sucker for this, man.
Yeah,
I mean, really,
that's cool.
The secret origins of all the supervillains. And I'm looking down here, and I can recognize at least 4 of these guys from the Legion of Doom. I mean, right? You got my $1 right there. Completely.
$1.
Where's our buddy Mark Andrews?
That for
He should be
$1.
on that cover somewhere.
Yeah, I know. Mark Andrews would just be going crazy over this. So,
well, he should be on the cover. He's a freaking super villain.
Some days. And DC, we mentioned the DC Limited Collector's Edition, and the other one we'll show here, Dick Tracy.
Oh, nice one. Nice.
And I'm not a big Dick Tracy fan, but the movie was just fun enough, and being able to grab this as a back issue, which I did, was really neat. Now I love Duck Tracy from Looney Tunes.
Nice.
And so this is kind of fun to look at in the whole Duck Tracy thing. And then last one, since it's the holiday season, Marvel loved doing their holiday ones. So happy holiday with our Jewish Santa Claus there. So
that's right. The thing.
That's right. This is a great collection of stuff. And I've got there's a Champions appearance in here, which is why I grabbed it with the original Champions. Not that they're doing anything, but they're still in there. But I think this has the Power Man. There's a Power Man Christmas special, Christmas issue somewhere in there. So
very cool.
So, anyways,
nice.
So that's what I brought.
Do you happen to have the Welcome Back Kotter one?
I do not. I wish I did.
I wish you did too, because I don't have that.
Yeah, I wish I had that one. I haven't bought a lot of treasuries. They just I've got a Rudolph one coming in from my buddy on Twitter. But
oh yeah, if anybody has that one and they can show it, I would appreciate it because I just love to see that one. That's one I'm going to look for though, because I always forget about it, and then it comes back to mind when I look at this and oh, Welcome Back Kotter, man. Welcome back, Kotter.
We forget how big the series. I forget how big that TV series was.
It was,
and how how huge it was because I was too young to watch it. So
you were.
Yeah, I was. I'm sorry to tell you that, but I had the lunchbox. I don't know why I had the lunchbox if I couldn't watch the show, but that's
Vinny Barbarino. Come on, man.
Yeah, I know. So, it's okay. I'm sure Bruno knew Vinny.
Vinny was one of Bruno's favorite actors.
I can see that. Yes,
I believe
that.
Yeah.
All right. Who wants to go next? Thanks, Chuck. That was great. Nobody. Okay.
You're gonna have to pick, Joe.
All right, we'll do Matt because Matt is good for at least 20 minutes. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Whew, what are you trying to say, Joe? I feel like you've been picking on me today, man. All right.
I'm sorry, my friend. I'll stop.
Here's the thing, though. Marvel Treasury Editions, I own 4 of them, okay? And the people in the chat already can tell you what 4 I own, or at least who the character is on these.
Wait, chat. Chat, do you know, can you guess which 4 Treasury Editions are the only 4 Treasury Editions that Matt Woods owns? And we're going to give you 5 seconds.
Blue.
Charlie Brown.
They're all the same half-naked barbarian dude.
Come on. Nobody knows. What's wrong with
You
you
got
guys?
the Barry
We
Windsor
should give it a
Smith
prize.
books
I do.
from the 90s?
We got
Now-
some guesses. Tina said Spider-Man and Conan.
Here's the deal. Here's the
Wait,
only
this is a
reason
good one.
that I
Wait,
even
Richard-
own
Richard's
any
Powder Puff
Treasury
Girls.
editions. I own them because I am a completist. I wanted to have every single Conan the Barbarian ever printed. Well,
GaryB agrees with you.
GaryB, yes. Good job, Gary. So anyhow, I ended up like looking for, and I found the 4 Conan the Barbarian Treasury editions. And I'm going to tell you what, they are dope. Okay. Now, this one, it reprints Tales from Savage, Savage Tales number 2 and 3. And they were originally black and white. They put them to color. Okay. Some Barry Windsor Smith art that this is the first time you ever got to see that story in color. It's quite epic, actually. But some of the art on this is the back cover, okay? And again, this is half the size of like a 4-year-old, okay? So this is pretty dope here. This was issue number 4 of the Marvel Treasury Edition. They did another Conan one, number 15. As Red Sonja on there. You gotta love Red Sonja. I'm glad Gary's in the chat so he can see this. And again, some epic art on the background. Now this looks like Ernie Chan, John Buscema and Ernie Chan.
Yeah.
Art right here. John Buscema. This is issue number 19. And again, Buscema, he
That's
drew
so
women
cool.
in a way that I absolutely enjoy. Okay, so great job on that. And again, we're talking about this epic art that's bigger than life. Just so cool. I'm glad you said that, Joe. When you said, like they were just big, larger than life, bigger than what they actually drew them. It just kind of makes it cool. And the 4th is issue number 23. And again, there's always a woman around Conan. But
In
this
distress.
one might be a little bit controversial. This is not the exact cover from Savage Sword number 5, but it's obviously play off of it. Gary, you own all 4 too. But I don't know. These stories are kind of cool. I've gone back and just read these just because it's life size. Like these books are like, this is my head. Okay. Yeah, I don't know how big my head is. I'm not saying I have a big head, but like the books are much, much bigger. Okay. Joe, they'd be bigger than your head too. And I do know that Joe does have a big head. So now these are just cool to read, cool to see the art.
It's hard to keep all these brains in here, all this knowledge.
Is that what it is?
It expands
See,
like,
really-
what's that comic book character there,
Really, what Matt's happy about is he doesn't have to pull out his readers to be able to read these comic books. So,
Well, I have to have these by me all times.
Yeah, right. Those are good ones, Matt. I like them. They're good.
Those
Excellent.
are really good.
Alan, how about you? You got any?
Yeah, I got a couple
Thanks.
that I could show. So I have the Superman and Spider-Man. I think this is from the 2nd volume. But like
Yeah, this
like
is the second one.
It is.
Oh yes. And then like Matt said, always check the back of these books. They're actually really cool. Like they have a bunch of art, and just to kind of show, let me show this. I think I have the first volume one as well.
Right.
So
Ooh, very
what
good.
someone mentioned before is the back cover actually might even look better than the front. So this is
like it,
actually
huh?
pretty cool.
Great.
And of course, like the insides, you get these huge splash pages where you get like the whole page is just Spidey. And one cool thing about these, I think on the inside, they have lots of random tidbits about some of the characters. I remember one of them had, these are like kind of the background of Spider-Man, how he got his power and whatnot. So there's a lot extra stuff that goes in these. One thing I did mention before was Superman versus Muhammad Ali. So this is my copy of it. And one cool thing is I'm going to zoom in here. So there's a lot of celebrities on both the front and back cover. And one cool thing is on the inside, it'll kind of show you the names of each of those celebrities and where they're sitting.
Fantastic. Mm-hmm.
So that's like one of the really cool things I liked about this book, how you could actually look up people and it kind of mixes both DC and our world together. So these were the ones that I wanted to show you guys, and like it has lots of really cool tidbits that I don't know if you could fit in normal size comic books. And just so people know, this is like kind of the size difference of like a normal comic and Treasury. So quite a big difference.
That's right. It's like a who's who. Yeah, that was fantastic, and that was all Neil Adams. Coming up with that and putting that together. Cool. And there were DC executives in that as well. There were people, Muhammad Ali's corner people. There were superheroes there. Some of them in their secret identities. There was a whole. There were politicians there. I think President Carter, and his wife were there. And I think Gerald Ford and his wife were sitting there as well. So it just was like a fantastic book to have. And so I'm really happy I have that one as well. Those two. But the second Spidey and Superman was 1981, and frankly, I like that story better, Alan. I mean, the first story was okay, but it was kind of more like a typical thing. They find each other and they fight each other, and
they know each other.
They find out, oh, wait a minute, we're both good guys, and we're fighting against Luthor and Dr. Octopus. But the second one, I liked it better because of the way they worked it out. Because Superman, Clark Kent, actually started working for J. Jonah Jameson in the Daily Bugle, and Peter comes over and works for. It was Maxwell Lord owned the whole thing, but it was Perry White was still the editor of the Daily Planet, and Perry was paying him double what J. Jonah was paying him for the photographs. And he kept saying, "This guy's so nice. I can't. I don't know how to deal with this nice." But he put the hit on Lana Lang, and Lana Lang turned him down.
Oh,
she was too busy hanging out with Sean Connery. That's why.
Maybe. And the big baddie there wasn't like a DC. That wasn't sort of like a DC guy and a Marvel guy. The big baddie was Dr. Doom.
Yeah.
And Parasite was from the DC side, but Dr. Doom was manipulating him. It was real. And I mean, Wonder Woman makes an appearance. The Hulk makes an appearance.
Mm-hmm.
The story was basically written by the Marvel guys. I don't remember who wrote it. Wait a minute. I think I wrote it down. Did I write it down? I hope I wrote it down. Jim Shooter wrote most of it, and John Buscema drew it. And if you got a chance to read it or get it, it's a really, really good story, I think. First one is good because it was just a big to do when it happened.
Yeah.
But the second was actually a good story.
Yeah.
With some good parts to it. And the thing I like best, and you DC guys are going to like this, is that it really showed Superman could beat the shit out of Hulk if he wanted to. That's all I got to say. That's all I got to say.
See, right there.
Come on.
But that's still better than the I don't know if anyone's got the Batman Hulk team up where Batman supposedly takes down the Hulk, and you're just looking at that. Oh, there we go. See.
Well, we're going to bring him up now. We'll bring you up.
We'll let Dave talk about that one then. So,
all right. Well, you guys have shown some of the ones I had with the Superman versus Spider-Man, which there's just something awesome about two of my all-time favorite characters meeting for the first time. And then this one I didn't take good care of. This one I did, and it's really nice. I'm with you, Joe. It's a more, I don't know if I like the story better, but they integrated more elements of who these characters are. I think.
Come on, Dr. Doom's plan was
What's
just
that?
Dr. Doom's
Okay.
plan in that. I don't know if you've read it recently.
It's
Dr.
been a
Doom's
little while.
Fantastic plan.
I think Clark Kent working at the Daily Bugle and Peter Parker working at the Daily Planet
That was fun.
is awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. But so this is, and I've had those for decades. Like I got those a long time ago. This one I got in the last year. I'd always wanted this one. Really,
That's so cool.
Jose Luis Garcia Lopez's art.
Sure.
You know, he's just one of the all-time greats. And yeah, you mentioned Batman fighting the Hulk, which sounds absurd, and it is absurd. It's ridiculous. Now they make Batman basically beat the Hulk. So the Hulk is crushing him. Batman doesn't explode for some reason. And then hold on. Wait, where is it? Here we go. Batman throws a gas pellet, kicks Hulk in the stomach, and he starts breathing in the gas and passes out. So, yeah, but it looks so beautiful. It looks so beautiful.
I know. Even Lou Ferrigno would be embarrassed by it. So,
yeah, exactly.
That story defies logic.
Yeah, no, it does, but it's gorgeous, and I was very fortunate. Beth from Isolation hooked me up with this. She knew someone who was selling it, and I got it for a good price, and I just always wanted to see that artwork.
So cool.
In this size. I brought a few others if that's okay.
Yeah, sure.
People who know me know what a huge Christopher Reeve fan I am. Wow. This I got when I was young. I probably
Very cool.
Can't even remember how many times, I read through it. It's not a comic book, but it's all production photos and write-ups about the film. And frankly, way back when, it wasn't easy to see these again. So if you wanted to relive moments of the film, you couldn't just stream it or throw in your VHS or, because that wasn't commonplace then.
That's another one of mine that died. So yes.
Yeah. I think I picked this one up in the last few years just because Superman. Right. These are older that I got when I was a kid, and you can tell by their condition. This is a really unique read.
Oh, that's I don't have that one. I wish I did. Yeah.
It's a good one. Yeah. It's very different. It's Lex Luthor has basically told Superman, the world is going to be destroyed at a certain time frame, and you're the cause, and you can't stop it. And basically, Superman has to figure out the mystery of how it's going to work, and it's sort of fascinating. I don't know if it holds up as well now that I'm an adult, but it was fascinating as a kid, and I still think it's a really fun book to own.
That's beautiful though on the back.
Yeah, no, I mean, one of the things I liked about this, Ross Andrew drew it. I think a lot of people are familiar with his cover work. Romeo, and I may mess up his last name, Tangle or Tungal, inked it. And I remember his work on Perez's stuff in the Titans, and I think his inking is fantastic there. And there are just others. This is where we're talking about the reprints that I got back in the day as a kid. So I was reading these golden age stories, that I never would have had access to. So
right, that's big.
And the last one that I'll show that I bought from my childhood, I do have some other stuff. I don't know if I'll have time for later. That it's more modern. Is this one?
Oh, cool!
Nice. That again, Jose Luis Garcia Lopez. I mean, that image was so striking that Wonder Woman, who looks like Linda Carter in that drawing, and Superman, like violently fighting. It was just such a cool book, and to see, that type of artwork,
Oh, that whole page, that's cool.
Isn't that amazing?
That is cool.
There are a couple other splashes that are phenomenal. So this was one that I really liked a lot as a kid. It was really well done. So those are a lot of my older ones. Joe, you and I can maybe get into our debate about some of those others time at the end. So
I'll let you win, Dave, because I know it's important to you. Just joking. No, we're debating whether or not it had to be from the 1970s to be a really, or our Marvel went into 1981. I think DC went up to 1978.
Yeah.
Whether really to be classified a treasury, because there are newer ones as well, and the question is whether they should be classified a treasury or not. Sure. Okay. So I'm going to go just over basically all of mine. You've seen the 2 Spider-Man one already. I showed this one. This was number 21, C21. So it was the second one after the Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. All right. I took them out of the paperwork if it's there. So this actually reprinted Captain Marvel numbers 1968, 115, and 121, Captain Marvel Jr. 11. And the Marvel Family 85. So for me, this was my first introduction to the real Captain Marvel with CC Beck artwork, which is like really, really, I mean, just fits it. This is Golden Age Captain Marvel, which is fantastic. And I mean, like I can't show all this stuff like that, but they got a lot of the things from those books, like the puzzle page. Which one is it? Like the puzzle page there, right there. And so it's just really, really, really interesting. And the back, I think there was a nice splash page. It's even got like how to draw Captain Marvel and Captain Marvel Jr.
Nice.
It is really good.
And there was a nice splash page in here. If I could find it real quick, I can't remember now where it is. But the back was kind of interesting. Luckily, I didn't. When I got this one, I didn't do it. But you can cut out Captain Marvel and have him flying over Fawcett City. So.
Sweet.
This was a great thing to have. Again, my friend John gave it to me, and when I started reading through this, it was great. It just really introduced me to the Golden Age Captain Marvel. The next one I got was the C31, the Superman.
I love that illustration.
Yeah, the original Superman there. This was C31 from 1974. The other one's from 73. And it reprints stories from Action Comics 22 and 29. Superman 60 plus Amazing World of Superman. The cover art was by H.J. Ward. It was reproduced from a photograph of the original painting. So this was a painting by H.G. Ward. They took a photograph of it and reproduced it on the cover. All right. And again, this is Golden Age Superman, basically.
Yeah.
If you take a look at it in there, Europe at war.
Nice.
I mean, it looks a lot like this 1940s Superman cartoons, basically. The artwork is not too dissimilar. A lot of panels because it told the story that's there. And the back was a similar situation. You can cut out Superman, and have him standing there just in front of Metropolis. But I didn't do that, thankfully.
Well, Joe, I think you're pointing out there something for people who look to collect these. They're hard to find in nice shape, not just because they're big, but between the cutouts and the stuff on the inside, it's hard to find ones that are not just completely just trashed. I mean,
yeah.
And bagging something that size. Yeah.
Well, again, this is in really good shape. Some of my others are not as good a shape. This is in really good shape. But again, I mean, I got this back in 1974 from my friend John. And for years, it just stayed basically in a box. I mean, I didn't touch it. So it's one of the reasons why it's in good shape.
Did you have it in a bag and board? Growing up, did you have it in a bag and board or anything?
No, there's no such thing. No, but they were, I mean, the back of it, you can see it does have some damage. It's not, see, take a look back here. See along the top here?
Yeah.
And that's, you see that in a lot of them where you get some pieces that are missing. This piece is actually here. It's inside, so I'm not touching it.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Now, this one I bought because, I'm in the midst of haphazardly finishing up my collection of Justice League of America Volume 1. I'm down to about 20 comics to get for that, and I'll have 261 issues
Nice.
and all of the annuals. But I saw this recently, and frankly, I haven't even read it yet. So I went out and I got this when I saw it.
Very cool.
Mhm.
All right.
Wow.
Cool cover.
Very
This
cool.
was number. Which one was this? Number C46 from 1976. All right. World's Greatest Superheroes. I just love that cover. You know.
Yeah.
And the back
Mhm.
Yeah,
is Justice
that's
Society
nice.
of America.
Mm,
Isn't that cool?
that's
That's
cool.
really cool.
Same type of picture, but Justice Society.
Mhm.
This one, I mean, it just reprints some of the, JLA books that I already had, including like the splash panel here and stuff. I mean, it's good. I mean, I got it simply because I wanted it for. And talking about completists, I just saw this and I said, gee, I'd like to have this, and so I went out and I got it. And they do have for that middle that's the pinup in that middle page I showed you, and similar to that Ali thing, they show you who's who.
Who the characters are.
Oh,
Yeah.
cool.
Characters in there. So again, that's very, very cool. Didn't cost me that much. Back also in 1976, we have Superman salutes the bicentennial. All
Very
right,
nice.
really
I've
cool.
always loved
Yeah.
that cover on that book.
Yeah, that goes from
Yeah.
I forget the Superman one. I don't know if you remember it, but it goes way back. I printed that a few times. And so it basically, this one, I think I wrote down here, it reprints from a lot of the DC comics that took place during the Revolutionary War, like Tomahawk, Star Spangled Comics,
Mhm.
and a lot of Tomahawks, Master Woodsman, and so forth. So I don't remember this having much. Superman just basically introduces the stories to you.
Oh,
But
okay.
the stories from that
Interesting.
occurred back in Revolutionary War times.
Yeah.
So
Oh, that's
it's
cool
kind of
art.
unique in that respect.
That's really
You see
cool
here
art.
it says 6 tales of heroic history celebrating the spirit of 76, plus the Gallery of Presidents and a bicentennial newspaper. Here's the Gallery of Presidents. It's on
Wow.
the back
Oh,
cover,
nice.
Okay.
right? It goes to Gerald Ford, obviously at that point
I
in
don't
time.
see Jimmy Carter or Ronald Reagan.
Well, I think they came after 1976,
They did.
Mr. History AP teacher, as you said you were in the beginning. So it's really, I mean, I love the Revolutionary War time, the Constitution. I have like my library has a ton of books about that time. I mean, I just if you want to know something about the Constitution or how it was put together in 1781, you ask me. And here's the newspaper they talked about, the Bicentennial Planet. Cornwallis surrender.
Oh,
That's
wow.
really cool.
That's
Yeah.
really cool.
Very, very nice. So I was glad I had this one. This I picked up afterwards also, but look at the condition.
Yeah,
Looks
it looks
nice.
really good.
It's
Yeah.
beautiful. Yeah. All right. Going back to some that I had gotten from my friend John, Batman's Strangest Cases.
Ah, yes.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Is that a Dick Giordano
Reprint stories-
cover?
Excuse me?
Is that a Dick
Rapid one.
Giordano cover?
Giordano cover. Now was it? I can't remember now. Did I write it down? Yeah,
Sorry if I got
write
you
it
off
down.
track.
I may not have written it down. Hold on a second. Give me a chance.
Which number is it?
This is number C59. I didn't write this one down. Sorry, guys.
All right.
We'll
Should have
forgive
said
you
it
this
there.
time.
No,
No.
it doesn't say it in here. Anyway, but it's a cool cover. It kind of wraps around in some respects, kind of,
Ooh.
right? It's got the pictures from the originals over here in the back.
It's Neil
And,
Adams
um,
cover.
Excuse me?
Neil Adams cover.
Okay,
Yeah.
this is Neil Adams cover.
That is Neil Adams. Okay.
That's
Now,
cool.
Robin looks a bit like Neil Adams, but the Batman looks a little bit more stylistic from him. Doesn't look like that gritty Batman.
Yeah.
Yeah, interesting.
Hmm.
All right. So, and it has basically 4 or 5 stories in here from Brave and the Bold, from Swamp Thing, from Batman. So, I mean, it's a cool one to have. I remember the last time I read it. But again, just look at these things. I mean, look how big they are.
Yeah.
That's huge. Yeah.
I would buy stuff like this. if it was the right one. I mean, maybe the Batman, the Demon, and the Gothic Mansion. Denny O'Neil, Irv
Novick. Yeah,
Mhm.
I thought it was Irv Novick.
Yeah. Beautiful, beautiful book. I got a couple more. This one you already showed. All right.
Yep.
And and again, I love the back on this one too. It's super.
Yeah, the back covers are all great.
There's some
smashed him in the
unbelievable
face.
shots
And you're
of
right. I
him
mean,
fighting in the
look at
interior.
this action stuff here. I mean, come on. It's got to look so much better in these larger books.
Yeah.
Look at
Yes,
this.
they do.
Wow.
Mhm.
The
Across
next
two
page,
pages.
though. Flip to the next page.
Okay.
Trust me.
I will trust you.
Look at that.
Oh,
The
cool.
next couple pages, actually.
Such
Yeah, they're
action
fighting.
shots
It's
right
The whole thing. Look at it. Look at his face.
all-out
Look at
battle between Superman and Wonder Woman.
the
It's
entire
just-
battle.
Yeah,
yeah.
that's the
Look at
one. That's the one. I was.
That's
page
cool.
that. Yeah, Superman's getting his ass kicked here.
Yeah, I would let her win too.
Mhm.
Of course, in the one with
Kick
the
my
Hulk,
rear end any day.
the one with the Hulk, he basically sits there and let the Hulk, stops the Hulk and all that. And but here Wonder Woman's beating the crap out of him. So that's a cool one. Garcia
Really
Lopez,
cool.
right? Then the next one I got, let me see what I wrote down for this. Yeah, that was in 1978. Also in 1978 was Superboy and the Legion of Superheroes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay.
Mike Grell.
Oh, that's cool.
Great. Yes, I think so. Great wraparound cover.
Yeah, that's phenomenal.
Isn't that great?
awesome.
Look at that.
Yeah.
Wow.
And of course,
Imagine how long
one
that
of, the,
took to
one,
draw.
of, one of the Legionnaires that I was in love with was Saturn Girl.
Mm.
Saturn Girl.
You know?
Nice.
Joe Orlando, the editor, talks about Grell and Paul Levitz who wrote it. Vince Coletta was in this thing. I think putting it together. And it's just, it just has as I remember, a great story. But look, it's just this artwork when they are able to go across 2 pages like this.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's just
Yeah.
fantastic. Fantastic stuff.
Is that okay?
Naman is here. Hey, Naman. Sorry for missing people while I'm doing this. Yeah, Mike
No
Grell's
worries.
stuff
I
is
got
really
I have
good.
you.
He says the wedding is in the middle. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
not quite the middle. Let me see. Let me get to the middle page here. If I can see what's there. Oh, here's the twisted mystery history.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fantastic.
I mean, just fantastic stuff. And the last one I got,
Yes.
yes, is from 1978. Story by Jerry Conway. I think Rich Butler and Dick Giordano.
Yeah.
Superman versus Shazam. All right. And when you take a look at this, you see that it's all been orchestrated.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Ah.
You fighting heroes, you cannot stop me from smashing both your earths. Okay.
That's cool.
So Mary Marvel,
is
who's also kind of a cutie, is in here, of course. And so this is
It's original story, correct?
Yeah,
I think
it
it's
is.
an original story, correct.
Yeah.
And it's kind of interesting. On the inside front page, it gives you kind of a side-by-side of Superman and Captain Marvel. I don't know if you can read it, but it has like their secret identities, their home bases, their age groups,
Oh, nice.
identity switches, nicknames, arch enemies, powers, weaknesses, who their bosses were, et cetera, et cetera. So that's kind of cool.
That is
Goes
cool.
through it. Have a little bit of boxing on the cover of this thing. And just since I'm going with the whole thing about double page things, here's one that just comes up.
Yeah.
I mean, you just can't match that
Cool.
type of stuff if you got the right artist and the right stories. I mean, just even look at this, and he's just this one page going in there.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
I mean, so to me, I mean, that's something that they really should think about, with respect to doing this type of stuff. Look at this. Look at this other 2-page thing here.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just terrific. So that's actually all of them that I do have. So, yeah, some of them are original stories, Naman. Some are just replays of some that are there. So anyway, so I don't know. Did you, Dave? Did you have some others you wanted to show?
I did. If that's okay.
Yeah, sure.
Absolutely.
I'll sneak this one, and this is a more recent pickup, but I do like the photo covers, and this is the reason for my love of Captain Marvel Shazam, because of that TV show when I was a little kid. So I wanted to show that.
Cool.
But it was
That's cool.
I wanted to bring up some stuff that's sort of basically the modern version of the Treasury. And for anyone who's a fan of Alex Ross, you know that nostalgia, his childhood love of these characters, plays heavily into his work. And for the reason, this is sort of the modern Treasury. These Paul Dini,
Alex Ross.
Yeah.
Nice.
And the internet does call them Treasury Editions. I just want to let someone else on the panel know that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do they know? You can't believe everything you read on the internet.
So
I remember with those
3-0 on you, buddy.
So
Nice.
I don't know if y'all
That's
remember,
cool.
but when they were publishing those, Wizard did an April Fool's issue where they claimed that he was going to do one
Wonder
with
Twins.
the Wonder Twins. And they
Yeah.
actually showed a splash page he did with the Wonder Twins crying. And
Yes.
I've got to tell you, the story actually sounded, you could tell it was clear nonsense, but it almost sounded worth reading.
I remember reading that.
Wonder Twins form of water or something. I forget what it was.
Yeah, I don't remember. Yeah, I remember all the details behind it. But yeah, exactly.
So these are all the Alex Ross, essentially.
That's so cool.
Treasury editions.
Does he also do the interior art?
Oh yeah, it's
Yes.
all 100%
Yeah.
Ross.
It's
100%
100% raw.
Ross. It's gorgeous.
Fantastic.
It's gorgeous at this size. Let's see if there are any particular images that jump out. I don't want to fumble around too long, but here's a good one. It's just
Nice.
his work is
Looks like George Reeves.
truly amazing. He does tend to draw a little bit older looking Superman, but I mean, some of the stuff, I mean, if you don't have these,
Wow.
I don't think they're super expensive. I bought them when they came out. They're early 2000s. Oh, I already did that one. Early 2000s. It's just unbelievable stuff.
Well, he had his neighbors pose.
Yeah, he has models.
And,
Oh, really?
He took a ton of photographs of them.
Mhm.
So that's why whenever he draws Superman or Batman or Wonder Woman, it always looks the same. Not because he draws them the same, but he takes out the photographs
Same reference.
and his same reference point. Yeah.
And this was just another one. Mark Waid, Brian Hitch. Again, Hitch's stuff is so detailed that when you get to see it at a larger size, it's just really,
It's amazing.
It is nice.
it's a feast for the eyes.
Now that's definitely one artist that should get the larger size like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I shudder to think how long it would take Hitch to produce that, given his
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
speed.
And I did bring something that I don't think is a treasury, but
Oh,
to me it was sort of treasury adjacent, and I just huge and cool. Wednesday Comics, the hardcover.
Very
I don't
cool.
know if you guys remember when these came out, but
I
to
do.
have this
those.
format and the artwork in here, the size that they're publishing, it's just so cool.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
That's in high gloss and everything.
Yeah.
I have two sets of those Wednesday comics. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
So that's what I had to show tonight. So thank you.
Well,
for
I have
indulging
one
me.
more.
Let's see it.
And I've got two more, Joe.
Oh, you do? Okay, you go first.
Yeah. Okay. So first of all, I wish I brought up my Barry Windsor Smith storytellers from the 1990s. Because they weren't necessarily treasury books, but
No.
he was definitely playing with the larger size of things.
Mhm.
I held this off in case Dave was going to show it because I didn't know how many Shazams Dave was going to bring. But we do have another one of the Shazams here.
Right.
And again, I think it tells you something about how much they banked in the popularity of Shazam in the 70s
They did.
with the TV show. The fact that they kept them and they kept producing all these reprints of all the Shazam stuff. I think tells you really much how much DC really bought into Shazam, as opposed to today where they're like, oh yeah, we've got that IP.
It seemed like all the the talent from back then just loved that character. Like he was the biggest character in the 40s into the early 50s. He was bigger than Superman, bigger than Batman at certain points. So they just like, this guy was huge. Let's use him.
Right. You could really feel the love they had for him. I mean, all throughout the time. And then I did have another holiday grab bag. I didn't know who else was going to show them, but
that's cool.
Another one of these great Marvel holiday combinations here.
Very nice.
And it's got a cool back cover to it. Which,
nice.
Oh, cool.
I do like the back covers that they put on these.
Yeah,
pretty cool.
They're awesome.
So
I think DC and Marvel would just print money if they did oversized editions of just like covers by certain artists. Like Joe, imagine if they did a big oversize of Neil Adams covers. You know,
hey, look here.
Just print
we
money.
We got Ditko artwork.
That's awesome.
Giant size Ditko artwork here. So, but yeah, I think I think these treasury formats have a lot to be said for them. And especially today when you're really trying to grab people's attentions in the store. And if you're already going to charge $10 for a regular size comic book that might be a special issue, $12 for one of these things would not be seen as a bad deal. I mean,
for sure.
So Frank is asking, how do you store them?
So you have to get, I think these are, type of bags are these? You can get special bags and boards for them. Mm-hmm. I think they're designed, I'm trying to remember because my LCS owner's wife told me about them. I think they're for some type of, not regular magazines, but like extra large magazines and stuff.
Right.
So
I got a bunch of those.
Yeah.
I need a bunch.
And then where do you put them?
Where do I put them? They lie flat on one of the shelves in my comics room.
And I do the same thing. I lie them flat.
Yeah.
Which may not be the best thing to do, but there's no way to really hold them up unless you put them between two book, two book things or something like that.
I put them in a spot.
That's not bad. That's a good idea, actually. Yeah. All right. Okay, so my last one, and I guess Dave, I guess Dave and Matt say that the treasuries, the new treasuries, are also treasuries, but
that's what the internet says, Joe. Just saying.
Internet's never wrong.
It's never wrong. Never. The last treasury, according to my notes, that DC put out anyway, was in 2020. Believe it or not.
Yeah,
after 1978. So never wrong. And it's New Fun #1. I've got it right here.
That's awesome.
It was the hardcover edition of New Fun #1. All right. Mm-hmm. It's an exact reprint of New Fun #1.
Oh, wow.
Which is really cool.
Yeah.
So, basically this is considered the first comic book by many people.
1935?
Right? Yeah. I think so. Yeah. 1935. All right. So it goes through some of the history and so forth over here. And then you actually get the reprint of the magazine. February 1935, 10 cents. Jack Woods. All right.
Uncle Jack.
Yeah.
All the way through. So it's the exact copy of New Fun magazine with some stuff thrown in for history. The guy who put it together, what was his name again? Military officer. What was his name? Forgot his name. The Major, I remember they called him. Mm-hmm. Oh God, I can't remember what his name is. Malcolm Wheeler Nicholson.
Wheeler?
Yeah. So this is, at least according to the internet, the last, it's actually C63, believe it or not.
Wow.
Now, one other little tidbit, and maybe you guys have an answer to this question, but I don't have an answer to this question. DC, now Marvel with their Treasury Edition started with #1. DC started with what they called C21, right? Mm-hmm. That was, I'm seeing C20, which was that Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. Mm-hmm. C21 was that Shazam that I showed.
Yes.
I looked high and low and high and left and right and sideways. I can't find any reference as to why they started with C20.
Yeah.
I don't know
I
if
have no
anybody
idea.
in the chat knows or can find out. But if somebody could find out and send me something in IG, I would just appreciate it, because I just couldn't find anything. So send it right there at Anachronic_comics. All right. Because it's just a mystery. And I can't figure out why they started it. I can't find anybody that knew anything about it. And I'm just like, not sure I could sleep tonight unless I get a chance to. Anyway, so we have pretty good collections here, I think, of stuff, and there are a few that I really want to get to fill it out. But I do love those newer ones that you showed, Dave. I mean, they're just really beautiful books, as well. So, well, anyway, so anybody have any last questions or statements with respect to that? What do you think about these? So we all seem to think that they should bring them back.
Yeah.
I think Pretty Fly said that Crisis on Infinite Earths would be a good one to do. Maybe an extended hardcover would be nice.
I'd love that, but that's a lot of pages.
A lot of pages.
That'd be multiple Treasury books.
But whatever happened to the Man of Tomorrow, Chuck? I agree.
Yeah,
that would be beautiful.
Definitely.
Perfect one to do. Right?
See, what I like these treasuries for is they, like, when I was a young kid, okay, and I've told the backstory of how I started collecting stuff, but like the truth is like comic books were around long before I ever bought them, okay, and like things like the Treasury editions, like they caught kids' attention, and that might be their first foray into comic books. Right. And honestly, everything we said tonight about the art being enlarged, about showing these stories that from years ago and bringing them out and showing them again. There's so much cool about these treasuries, these oversized editions. I think the number one thing about it is it gets fans into comics that might not have normally been into comic books.
All right. Now, they do have some hardcover books that come out really large, larger than these, where they have artists,
right,
things and stuff like that. But it's not the same. It's having like the story and, really having an artist that takes the script and, makes it into something really unique that's there, So, maybe an oversized Treasury version of Isolation would not be bad.
Yeah, someone mentioned that earlier.
Somebody
mentioned it to Doug.
One thing that I've noticed though is that I don't know if you guys have seen some of these. I'll show one. So DC Black Label had done some oversized books. Just like this one is Hellblazer. So it's kind of closer to the size of a normal size comic book, but it's not quite there yet. But it's
not quite there.
They're actually going that way. And I don't know if you guys have heard. So there's this new publishing company called Distillery, and I think they're mainly doing oversized comic book sizes. Really? So they're like getting a bunch of
Distillery, like as if you're having a drink.
Yeah, DSTLRY. I think like James Tynan, a couple others kind of joined together. Yeah. But that was like they're starting to do more
Bible
one stuff.
Yeah, no one showed the Bible one, and that's a cool one.
No,
that's a good one to have, but no one had that one here. What does Gary say? I just enjoy seeing classic stories being printed in a new format, black and white stories in color for the first time. Yeah, true. Okay.
Well, and one more thing to think about is that, we talk about like the Bible one or the Ghost one. This is a great opportunity to revisit other genres than just superheroes.
Yes.
So, if you've got a great Jonah Hex story, for example, some of the Tim Truman stuff. I mean, can you imagine Tim Truman, giant size, Treasury size Tim Truman artwork? I mean, that would completely blow people away. Right. So,
but see, in that bicentennial one that I showed, it didn't have. It's even though Superman was kind of introducing it, there was no superheroes in it.
Right.
You had basically stories
true.
about the Revolutionary War, some reprints of Tomahawk, which happened during that time.
Mm-hmm.
So
Can you
I mean,
imagine being a kid? You buy a comic book with Superman on the cover, you open up like, this is history.
Where's Tomahawk?
You're going, why Tomahawk? Who the heck is that? You know? Yeah.
Oh, Dave, that's true. That's true.
That's a good point, Dave.
Well, I think we had I think this turned out to be a good show. I enjoyed it. A lot of the books were really good.
Yeah.
You know, and enjoyed seeing them. You know, I keep my eyes open for them. I don't look specifically for them, like the Justice League one. Happened to come across it. You know, I think it cost me $20.
Mhm.
You know, I said, okay, not bad. You know, would have rather be 10, but I took it for 20. You know, and did it that way. So I want to thank, you know, Chuck, as usual, great stuff. Dave, fantastic. Thanks for showing them off. Alan and Matt Woods, my OGs. I couldn't do this without you guys. You guys are fantastic. You bring a lot to the table. I really appreciate you. And the chat, thank you. I think at one point in time, we had like maybe 17, 18 people in here, which is really good. I appreciate everybody showing up for it, you know, and we're going to have another show. We might actually move that Marvel Cinematic Universe show. I'm losing my voice here. That Marvel Cinematic show, Marvel Cinematic Universe, what went wrong with it, how to fix it. That might actually be next month's Comic Book Crowd show, I think. All right. Since we had to cancel it because of sickness, I think we might just go ahead and do that and have that. So I want to wish everybody a happy new year. Hope to see you on the other side of the glass, you know, and just be careful, be good, you know, and just make sure that everybody's safe during the new year. All right. Take care, guys. And we'll
Happy
see
New
you
Year.
Happy
as
New
soon
Year,
as I
everybody.
can get this going soon. Take care. Bye.